All right, man, peace. So going into this series between the Golden State Warriors and the New Orleans Pelicans, I seriously thought that the New Orleans Pelicans were going to pose a major threat to the Golden State Warriors if Steph Curry was not going to be an active participant. Well, Game 1 showed me that either the New Orleans Pelicans have the wrong game plan or they are nowhere near in the Golden State Warriors league. Now, I'm not someone who oftentimes takes too much stock in Game 1 performances because I've seen a lot of strange things over the years. Oftentimes, home teams, especially if they catch a team that has taken too long of a break or too short of a break, will blow out their opponent in Game 1 at home. So I want to see how New Orleans looks in Game 2. But from what I saw in Game 1, it wasn't a case of Golden State just being hot from the outside, which oftentimes happens when a team comes into another team's stadium after either too long a break off or too short a break off, and they're not quite prepared for what they're getting into, facing a team that is ready for them and playing at a high level like Golden State oftentimes does. But I just want to see how, especially how Rondo tries to stabilize the team offense in Game 2 and the pace that he tries to set. As I've already told you, brothers, many times, I'm not a fan of their drop-mouth coach, Alvin Gentry. I noticed that Jrue Holiday, he was far more marginalized in Game 1 against Klay Thompson than he was in the series against Portland when he was going up against those two miniature guards. I think that Klay Thompson's height and his defense is going to play a major role in this series. But anyway, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
Sure. Highlights. Oh, we got to watch this. Hey, think of the 35 million who may have been out and just got in. Hey, I said that at halftime. Two people tweeted me and said, "Hey, I did just walk in. Thanks for showing the highlights." So anyway, it was live. No, serious. Good pass. Look at my timeline. There's a
Draymond Green showed you in Game 1 why he's so valuable and why he's one of, at the very worst, top 25 players in the NBA. Because as many great players step up their game offensively in the playoffs, he steps up his game defensively. The things that he's able to do defensively against the league's best front court players never ceases to amaze me. Anthony Davis is the player that, for all intents and purposes, most of the television NBA pundits are lauding as the best big man in the NBA, as well as arguably the best player overall in the NBA. And what Draymond's able to do oftentimes with those players is frustrate them, even when he's not as successful as he wants to be in guarding them. We've seen it with LaMarcus Aldridge. We've seen it with Anthony Davis. We've seen it with a myriad of other players all across the NBA, the things that Draymond is able to do to them on the defensive end. And we also saw it in this game right here. And what Golden State does very well is they're able to take fringe players completely out of the series. Like, you won't hear much from Mirotic throughout this series. He might have one good game, maybe Game 3 or 4 in New Orleans. Other than that, you won't hear much from him.
There's AD.
It's great when you have a connection with your point guard. Seeing the defense is overplayed, you can just turn off.
Yeah, must be really good to just throw it anywhere on the planet.
KD.
Oh, that feels like what I used to anyway.
With the three-pointer, missed the free throw.
Shooting over a chair.
Too many difficult matchups. Golden State has too many players who are multifaceted.
That's Jrue Holiday trying to put a hand in his face. Jrue Holiday had that huge series against Portland, held to 11 points on 4 of 14 shooting and missed it. Game was tied at 39 at one point.
I also noticed that the brother who used to play on Golden State last year, Clark, he did not play very well in this game. He seemed to be very nervous.
And then Golden State went crazy.
Yeah, can't turn the ball.
There goes Clark falling down.
Turn the ball over. Golden State. Okay. You can.
Let me rewind it back. I'm going to rewind it back. Golden State had a player last year, backup point guard for them by the name of Clark, who decided that he was going to sign a contract with the New Orleans Pelicans, and he seemed extremely nervous in this game. He did not play well at all.
Game was tied at 39 at one point.
Now watch Clark fall down here.
One point, and then Golden State went crazy.
Yeah, can't turn the ball over. Golden State. Okay. You cannot turn the ball over against these guys.
Sean Livingston looks like younger and younger. Or as Chuck calls him, Randy Livingston.
A 37-16 run to close it.
After Draymond hit that three-point shot, he started yelling over at Troutmouth Alvin Gentry. Obviously, Draymond figured out that the game plan was to leave him open to take three-point shots.
run to close out the second quarter for the
Why is he
Warriors.
trying to cheat that pick like that?
Ever since Mark Jackson put this team together with additional.
Look at Clark. Clark keeps getting beat. Clark got beat on the Klay Thompson three-pointer. He got beat on the Iguodala back cut.
Additional Kevin Durant, they can't get away from it.
Yeah, Mark did a good job. Steve does a good job also. This is unbelievable. Mark needs to know one thing.
Now look, Anthony Davis gave up on the play. Klay Thompson tried to beat him baseline. Davis cut off the baseline, tried to steal a basketball. Thompson was able to bat it over to a teammate, get the ball back, and instead of Davis getting back and contesting the shot, he's looking at the ref. That's what's called loser basketball.
If he gets that going down, Mark needs to know one thing.
Let me rewind it back one more time.
He gets good job also.
Now watch this. Thompson has the ball right now. He's going to beat Davis baseline. Anthony Davis is actually going to cut him off. He's going to try to steal the basketball. Thompson's going to see what he's doing. He's going to bat it to a teammate and get it right back. And instead of Davis coming back out to contest the wide open three-point shot with one of the best three-point shooters of all time taking the shot, he's going to look at the ref and give a half-hearted effort. That is not winning basketball.
This is unbelievable. Mark needs to know one thing. If he gets that going down, Mark needs to know one thing. If he gets that big job, it won't be like coaching these guys.
Here's a highlight for New Orleans in the good. If it goes, Darius Miller.
I love guys who shoot that shot, Ernie.
And
There are a lot of guys who
hurting
won't
their
shoot the
stats.
ball. They get like one shot. Oh, stats. Get rid of the ball. Don't ever lay that ball in your hand.
Trouble is, it only made it a 21-point game. And for Golden State, those 76 points, franchise playoff high for a first half.
I hope so. I know you go around giving 180.
Yeah.
Swing it. It's lock it.
Is there anything that's pretty? Anything prettier?
My face. My face.
Jersey, Kevin and Clay almost had a couple of games.
Yeah, what's pretty is
One was triple 22.
yeah, I think what's pretty is the way they look for each other, honestly. The way all of those guys share the basketball.
Anthony Davis, get used to that face, brother. Because from what I saw in Game 1, you guys have no chance of winning this series. You're going to have to raise your level of physicality exponentially by Game 2, as well as your execution and your offensive sets to even have the remotest chance of winning. And then guess what? One of the top 3 players in the NBA is coming back for Game 2. Good luck.
Share the basketball. That's the pretty part.
What is pretty about that kid is all the movement going on compared to watching some of these other teams play.
Get a load of this stat.
The reason why Golden State always has all that movement is because they're in the best condition of any team in the NBA.
33
Them and Boston.
33 assists on 44 makes. You like that? That illustrates your point.
Yeah, without question.
33 assists on 44 makes. That's crazy.
So that's what you can count too.
123 to 1. There's no counting
big deal. Everybody can count.
123 to 101. Draymond Green gets a triple-double, his 4th career playoff.
Comes out to 101. I know. Come on, Ernie. Everybody can count.
Second quarter, 41 to 21. And
Now, that's normally what Golden State does to their opponents in the third quarter. They normally come out after halftime and lay a blitzkrieg on them.
and that's where the game ended, as they went on a 24-2 run, 37-16 total going into the half.
Man, just a 24-2 run, probably all threes, too.
I have a question for you, Jet.
Yeah.
So the other night we talked.
Yeah.
And I said,
We talk a lot.
Yeah.
Just the other night.
This was basketball talk.
Okay.
I said, so what would you rather do? Lose at the horn or get blown out? And you said, I'd rather lose at the horn because it means I was in the game.
Yeah.
So what's New Orleans feeling right now when they come in full of confidence and get run out of the gym?
Effort. You say, when you get beat by 10 or more, you pretty much say we didn't have the effort. You know, because
Well, that's what you tell yourself, because you certainly don't want to think that you're in the second round of the playoffs and there's a team that's 25 points better than you. But I guarantee you, they have a lot of doubts in their mind right now because they've spent the last week drilling themselves about what Golden State likes to do. And they came into the game most likely even expecting Steph Curry to play. So him not playing should have made the defensive scheme even easier for them in regards to what they thought they were going to have to deal with. And for them to basically lose a 30-point game like this, that has to be a huge blow to their team morale. I want to see how they look in Game 2. We're going to learn a lot about the New Orleans Pelicans and how much they respect themselves and their coach based on their performance in Game 2.
because it has not, the game plan can't be that off. So in terms of effort level, you could tell. I thought you could tell by the way the game was in the first quarter, even before the explosion, was the same effort level that they have, the energy, the
exuberance, the verve,
exhilaration, the high fives. That wasn't there. They had it the way it was, I thought, in Portland, and that.
Of course, because they were getting their asses whipped. I mean, what do you expect, Kenny Smith? That's why I like to make a lot of boxing analogies when it comes to these other sports. Golden State is like a boxer who has speed but also has skill, and they have a chin. Now, when you look at a team like Portland is a basic fighter who's looking to land a hard right hand, but you already know what's coming. You can predict what's coming. You can game plan for what's coming. With Golden State, they might try to outbox you. They might try to knock you out in the first round. You don't know until you get in the ring.
And that could be because of the layoff, not because of the layoff, whatever it was. The game preparation wasn't the same.
And that reflects on Troutmouth.
Alvin knows what that is, but the game or the players. But the game preparation didn't feel the same in terms of energy level.
The game preparation was pretty good. We all saw it was tied at one point, 39-39. But Golden State has always been that team. If you turn the ball over, they can quickly get away from it. But these guys haven't played since last week. They probably know that they can't get two at Golden State. But so this is the feel-out game. They're going to go make some adjustments. But everybody's going to play better. And right now, their focus should be, can we get one? Let's just try to play better and still.
Right now, New Orleans has to set very small goals for themselves because of the way that they were decimated in Game 1. They can't be concerned with winning Game 2 right now. They have to be concerned with winning the first quarter of Game 2 and then the second quarter of Game 2. And should they have the lead at halftime, then they can set further small goals for themselves, because right now, Alvin Gentry has to build back up their confidence and their overall outlook in regards to what is going to befall them in this series, because it does not seem to me as if they're going to have the answers, because their backcourt is not going to be able to compete with the Golden State backcourt in regards to long-range bombing. And one of the players who normally has his way with Rajon Rondo is Steph Curry. Many times I've seen Steph light Rajon up because the things that Steph does really don't suit Rajon. Steph is not going to try to out-physical Rajon. If Rajon decides to pressure Steph, he's just going to drive by him. If he gives him a little space, he's going to pull up anywhere from 25 to 28 feet out. And Steph is not going to force the action. He's going to move the ball, and he's going to utilize constant movement without the ball. So it's going to be hard for Rajon to help off of Steph. Very frustrating guarding the Golden State Warriors.
The biggest problem the Pelicans going to have, man, it's a different animal. Because, we talk about matchups all the time. Playing against this team, they can't do the stuff they did against Portland.
Absolutely.
Portland, where you get the ball to Lillard and McCollum, and they go one-on-one. Because you heard Draymond say in the interview, he says, well, we looked at their defense and it wasn't as good as we thought it was, but they run a bunch of gimmicks to stop those Portland guards. He said that. Yeah.
Well, that was really a diss on the Portland Trailblazers. It was a bit of a diss on the New Orleans Pelicans and their defensive scheme, but what Draymond was really saying is that shit that worked against Portland, that's not going to work against us, because everybody in the league knows what Portland likes to do. They want to give it to Dame with CJ and let them go in between the legs 500 times and not utilize the rest of their talent.
Yeah, which tells me, we watched them. They're a good team, but that stuff they did against Portland, because they
not going to work against us.
Because they never stop moving. They never hold the ball. And that's one of the negatives of the Trailblazers. Those guards go one-on-one a lot, and they're guys who are always looking for their own shot. And that will not work against the Warriors.
And now we wait and see if Steph Curry does indeed play in Game 2.
Which he will. He will be playing in Game 2, as per Steve Kerr, who states that it's very likely he's going to be playing in Game 2.
There was a possibility he'd play in 1, and Golden State held him out.
But he's not going to play now.
I think I did this probably like a year ago. Is the fact that when he's on the floor with Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson, first of all, it's not fair.
Yeah, it's truly not fair.
Fair. But when they're on the court together, that you have to start defending at the hash mark. So if you're defending that far out from the floor, that means everyone's driving lanes are just wide open. You can't help and recover. You know, there's a simple phrase in basketball: I'm going to help the guy, and I'm going to recover and go back to the guy that I'm guarding. By the time you get over the help, because they're shooting for so deep, you can't recover to your guy. It's too late. And so their spacing is incredible because those guys shoot the ball for such a far place and in a high clip. So they're impossible to guard when all three of them are playing together.
And that's why the prospective series against the Houston Rockets is going to be so interesting, because you're going to have two teams that are basically playing the same style. What Golden State is going to have to game plan for is that James Harden drive to the basket where he lobs to Clint Capella. They're going to have to figure out a way to deal with that.
Yeah. So you think because they won by 22,
I think
you rest Steph, give Steph a little more rest?
Because now it's like he probably almost get a week off, because game 2 is Tuesday, and when is game 3?
Friday.
So
New Orleans.
I think in that situation, you give him those extra few days. I mean, he said if he's only had one scrimmage, I actually don't play him until you get to New Orleans, and that will actually give them a great lift going to New Orleans.
13.
Hypothetically speaking, I agree with you, Chuck, but he will be coming back for game 2.
13 straight wins at home in the postseason now for the Golden State Warriors, and there is their head man, Steve Kerr.
I thought Kevon was fantastic. You know, you're right, the stat sheet may not show it unless you look at that plus minus. That's a good number, plus 34. Loon's had a great year. He's a smart player, and he did a good job on Davis, and he was a key for us tonight. But I thought the defense in general was great, and that was...
Well, the defense in general has been spectacular for Golden State thus far in the playoffs. They've really only had one game where they have not played well defensively, and that was Game 4 against the Spurs.
That was the most important aspect.
But Draymond's been great defensively in every game in the playoffs thus far.
Aspect of the game, the defense allowed us to get going in the second quarter and get out in transition and break things open.
Steve, what went into the starting lineup combination today, and how do you kind of see that unfold throughout the game?
Well, it's a small game with New Orleans. They spread you out, and so we knew we were going to have to play, you know, without Steph and Patty. We were going to have to find some minutes, you know, from Nick and from Quinn, and we liked
Quinn Cook has played very well offensively for the Warriors.
We liked the idea of starting Nick and putting him out there, and he's a good matchup defensively with what we're facing, and spreads the floor. I thought he did a really nice job.
Steve, do you allow yourself to enjoy watching a second quarter like that? And also, how much did Draymond's hustle plays and just his effort on both ends sort of get that?
Yeah, of course. You know, how could I not enjoy that? You know, that's an amazing run in that 12 minutes. Combination of offense and defense. I think we had one turnover in the whole quarter and 10 assists, and the ball was moving, but it all started with our defense. And Draymond is always in the center of our defensive effort. I thought he and KD both really keyed that sequence or the whole quarter with their defense and rebounding and getting out and running.
Steve, did you see the bench's reaction?
Steve Kerr echoing what Kenny the Jet Smith said at halftime about the contribution of Kevon Looney, that when you look at the stat sheet, nothing really stands out except for that plus minus.
Stats
34.
Stats, I mean, that stands out, but stats also sometimes lie, because, Clay,
This is a good lie.
No, Clay, well, it wasn't in the stat. Clay had 26, and Durant had 27. No, but I'm saying that's 53 points. But that's not where I got it from when I just looked at it after the fact. But 53 points. You got to get points from other places. So his activity on setting screens, getting guys open on the offensive end was one. His rebounding and his defense on Anthony Davis, which creates to put you in transition earlier, because he's defending Anthony Davis better than he's been defended in the last series. So now they're taking tougher shots. Now you're starting your fast break with him on the other end. It creates more spacing and but if he doesn't defend Anthony Davis the way he did, or if he doesn't rebound, or if he doesn't set pick,
Then you're taking the ball out of the basket.
It doesn't happen. And then
There's room for the eye test as well as high-level analytics/metrics. What a great coach, what an astute member of the front office will do is find a happy medium.
And then all of a sudden it's a different basketball game.
Yeah.
Well, it is the first thing the coach, he did win
exactly.
back-to-back. He won 2 championships in 3 years.
Cool.
That man that just said it. I think he know a little bit about his team.
123 to 101, the final score.
Whatever you say.
When we come back, first the Twitter machine. Trying to explain plus minus for Shaq and Chuck is like me trying to teach my 85-year-old grandma how to hit my iPhone.
Hey, Tim, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's a good one, Big Tim.
You're not big time, Tim, so take that.
Hey, little Tim?
Yeah, little time, Tim.
When we come back, we'll head to Boston. 2 words.
You know, get out of here.
But anyway, that's it on the review for Game 1 between the New Orleans Pelicans and the Golden State Warriors. I may be touching on this series again depending on how good the segments are tomorrow with the so-called NBA TV experts. We'll see what happens, but I just don't think that there's much that New Orleans is going to be able to do to adapt to the level of intensity that Golden State's going to bring to them defensively, as well as the level of proficiency that they're going to bring offensively. They just wear teams down because of their conditioning and their execution. But anyway, peace.